Hello and welcome to today's video. So this time we're going to be taking a look at the Pico-8. This is like a virtual machine, like a tiny little game engine, and thankfully it actually runs on the RG350 devices. So I've got my RG351M here, and if you've never come across the Pico-8, it's certainly something that I suggest you take a little look at. It isn't free, so it actually costs $15, and I'll put a link to where you can get this from Lexaloffle Games online in the description down below. But basically, once you've got it, you can install the Linux version directly onto your RG350, and then from that point on, if you've got it connected to the net, you can actually download games directly to the device from the Pico-8 store. They're all free, and they just come in as .png files. It's almost like a cartridge. You also get to create your own games as well. So what I'll be doing here, it's only going to be like sort of 10-11 minutes or so video, but I'm just going to show you a few of the maybe the better Pico-8 games that I've been using. Obviously that was just Star Wars. Here's a little adaptation of Alone in the Dark, and just so you get sort of a feel for the device. So the thing about Pico-8 is that you've got a very, very limited set of instructions that you can use. So in modern game systems, lots of developers are almost a bit overwhelmed by the amount of choices, and this is sort of harking back to the days of the very early consoles, the sort of the 8-bit and earlier era, when you just didn't have a lot to play with. So you've only got 128 by 128 pixels, there's only 16 colours, and you've got 4-channel audio. But all those things combined make for some really ingenious programming. And it's quite incredible what people have actually been able to come up with. Not least of which, and this was the big hit from Pico-8, was Celeste. So I'm sure you've heard of Celeste. It got ported to... this is where it first got released, on Pico-8. There's loads of variations. This isn't the original version, but it's one that I just came across. Which isn't too bad, but the game was created in just 4 days, Celeste, and it was part of what they call a game jam, where a load of developers were sort of tasked with creating the best game they possibly could in 4 days, and Celeste basically won. And on the back of that, it had like a huge fan following, and the developers decided to flesh it out and make it into the game that we know today. I think it was released on the Switch. And the fully fleshed game includes the original Pico-8 version as well. The great thing about Pico-8, it's got this like explore option. So you can just go to the store and just search for particular games and download them directly to your device. For me, it really reminds me of the days when I used to have a ZX Spectrum. And the same sort of level of quality, the same sort of colour palette. And not that that's a bad thing. If you like quick hit sort of retro games, this is really, really great, and that's why I suggest you treat yourself just the $15 and actually get this one installed onto your device. And once you've bought it once, you can put it on any device, Windows, Linux based computers, this handheld here of course, Mac, whatever you fancy, and you can just play it in a browser. So you can do that for absolutely free. So if you want to play these games, just go to the website listed below, and you can play any of the games literally for free just in your browser. But as you can imagine, none of the games have any issue running because they're so basic. They play absolutely fine on this device. This one isn't so much a game, it's more like a little demo. Orbis. Now the actual process to get Pico-8 installed onto your RG device is a little bit fiddly. but thankfully Russ over at Retro Game Core has produced a video literally step by step, and I did it on a Mac, although I think most of his instructions are on Windows PC, but the principle is almost exactly the same, so I don't think you'll have any trouble. Just go over to Retro Game Core and check out Russ's tutorial over there. But that's what I did, and I got mine on within 10 minutes. It's quite a bit of fun. This is a little underwater shoot 'em up. Reminded me a little bit of the PlayStation 1 game In the Hunt. Not quite at that level. It also reminded me a little bit of that brilliant Spectrum game Scuba Diver. I wonder if anyone remembers that one. As I said, I won't dwell too long on each game, just to give you a little taste of just what's out there. I mean, this one's amazing. Pico Arcade. It's got quite a few classic arcade games for you to choose from just in the one card. So when you produce a game, you save it, and it saves as a .png file. It even gives it box art. It's just incredible. I've had quite a bit of fun following a few tutorials on YouTube and creating my own little adventure game. It's not ready for prime time yet, but it does need a bit of polish, but it really brings back the memories of coding on the old 8-bit and earlier computers back in the day. Really responsive, this one as well. It's great that you can use all the controls on the RG350 as well. Pico Off-Road. And when you come across games, you can just hit the control and favourite them, and then they'll be there. They'll be like bookmarked. But there is literally tens of thousands of games for you to have a look at, so it is worthwhile going into the official store and seeing what's been featured and like best ofs and what's been voted up as great games. A lot of these are sort of originals or based on existing arcade titles, but there's a massive area which just does classic game ports where people have taken like the Zelda games, and there's a Mario one we'll see in a minute, which and tried to recreate them in the Pico-8 environment, and some of them are just unbelievably good. They're so clever. I think this is probably my favourite game on all the Pico-8 at the moment. Really great. Just tilt left and right, and you have to get all the little balls inside the circles. I do like the way it sort of gives you the arrow showing you where to go. Great game, that. Pico Snail. It's just a little platformer, of which there's many platformers, as you might imagine in a system like this. Platformers, top-down adventures, little Zelda clones. A lot of the games look like Game Boy games, of course, and you won't be short of little RPGs and things like that to play. Certainly, if you work from home and you can install apps on your work computer, you might want to just pop Pico-8 in and just have it running down, in your taskbar, because it's just such good. You can just hop in, pick a game at random, and just have a blast for a minute. It's just brilliant. Just play it in the browser. This is one of those ports I was telling you about, the Super Mario Brothers. And don't forget, if you are still on the fence about buying an RG device, I believe the one I've got is about the best one on the market, but there's about 3 or 4, well, there's 3 different versions. There's the RG351P, which is like a plasticky version, which is really good value for money. And then there's the RG351V, which is more like a traditional Game Boy size, vertical. And I get my handhelds from a company in London called Droix. And they very generously allowed me to pop a 5% discount code for any visitors from this channel. So there's a link down below, and if you do follow that, you'll get 5% off whatever you buy from their website, which is not inconsiderable really. And they do next day postage, which will more than cover it. So do follow that link down below and save yourself a few quid if you are looking to buy one of these. They've got loads of other stuff there as well, like Bluetooth controllers and other devices. There's stacks of stuff, so it's a really cool website. I've never had any issues with them, and always next day delivery. So there we are. I hope you have been tempted by the Pico-8, and you do at least go to the website and check it out. If you have enjoyed today's video, do please give it that thumbs up. Do please consider subscribing if you've not already for regular RG351 videos. Still got loads more to cover on the channel. And I shall very much look forward to seeing you again very soon. Bye.